There are 10 things your cruise ship crew really don't want you to know. And once you do, you'll never see that welcome aboard the same way again. Behind the smiles and towel animals is a whole hidden system that decides who gets extra help, who gets quietly ignored, which guests get little upgrades, and which ones end up on a silent blacklist. In this video, we're breaking down those 10 secrets one by one, including how a single rating on your phone can quietly decide whether your favorite crew member keeps their job or disappears by the next cruise. Secret 1. Turnaround day is controlled chaos. When you walk up the gangway, it feels like the ship is just beginning your holiday. For the crew, it's the opposite. Turnaround day is the most exhausting day of the entire cruise, and it starts long before you arrive at the port. While the last group of guests is eating breakfast and leaving with their suitcases, crew are stripping thousands of beds, deep cleaning bathrooms, vacuuming hallways, and restocking every cabin. Kitchens are switching from breakfast to lunch. Engineers are doing safety checks, and housekeeping is racing a strict checklist with almost no extra time built in. So when you hear, cabins will be ready at 1:30, that isn't laziness. That's the crew trying to reset an entire floating hotel in just a few hours without missing anything important. One broken rule in that checklist can mean a safety issue, a health inspection problem, or a delay for the whole ship. So this is where a little planning makes the day much easier. Pack your medicines, documents, and a light change of clothes in your carry-on so you're not worried about your suitcase. Once on board, find a quiet lounge or a calmer corner of the buffet, have a relaxed lunch, and sit for a while instead of standing in lines. And try to save detailed requests, like extra pillows, maintenance questions, or cabin moves, for later in the afternoon, once the first wave of pressure has passed. The guests who understand how hard turnaround day really is tend to start their cruise calmer, less frustrated, and already on the cruise good side. And as you'll see in the next secrets, that early goodwill can quietly shape the kind of service you get for the rest of the week. Secret 2. Your name comes with notes. By the time you reach your cabin door, the ship already knows a little about you. Now, not in a spooky way, but in a very practical one. Behind the scenes, most big cruise lines keep simple notes on guests in their internal system. Some of it is basic: loyalty status, cabin number, dining time, any mobility needs or medical alerts you gave them. But there can also be short comments from previous cruises or from earlier in the trip. Things like very kind, or travels with walker, prefers quiet table, or multiple complaints about noise. Those notes aren't there to judge you. They're there to help crew decide where to focus their limited time and energy. If someone has a history of shouting at staff or making constant small complaints, crew will still be polite, but they may keep conversations short and stick strictly to the rules. On the other hand, guests who are calm, clear, and respectful often get more flexibility. If you're kind to your cabin steward on day 1, thank the dining staff by name, and explain your needs instead of demanding, it quietly nudges you into the easy-to-help category. And when they have an extra minute, that's who they go the extra mile for. For older guests, this can work in your favor. Let them know right away if you have mobility issues, need a closer table, or prefer a certain pace at dinner. The more they understand your situation, the better they can plan around it. The real secret is this: how you behave in the first 24 hours can shape the kind of service you'll get all week. And that becomes especially important once you talk about hidden cabins, surprise moves, and who actually gets those silent upgrades. Secret 3. There are ghost cabins you never see. On every big ship, there are a few cabins that almost never show up when you search online. Now, they're not haunted, they're backups. Crew call them many things, but they all serve the same purpose: quiet spare rooms the line can use when something goes wrong. Sometimes it's overbooking. The cruise line sold a few too many cabins, then someone important decides to come on board at the last minute. A ghost cabin can suddenly become their room. Sometimes it's a problem cabin, a plumbing leak, a broken air conditioner, or a noise issue that can't be fixed right away. Instead of leaving a guest miserable all week, they'll quietly move them into one of these hidden spaces. They can also be used to separate trouble. If there's a cabin that keeps partying until 3 in the morning, security might shift them away from families, older guests, or anyone who's already complained about sleep. You'll never hear about it in an announcement. You'll just notice things feel calmer the next night. But here's the part most guests don't realize. How you report a problem can decide whether you're offered one of those ghost cabins. If you're furious and shouting at the desk, staff will often handle the immediate issue, but they may wait before moving you anywhere. If you're firm but calm, like, "We can't sleep. Is there any way at all we can be moved?" you quietly become a better candidate. This is especially important if rest is a big part of your trip. Don't suffer in silence the whole week, but don't explode either. Ask early, be clear, and be kind. If a ghost cabin is available, you want to be the person they think of first. And that choice connects directly to the next secret, where we talk about the quiet sales pressures many crew are under every single cruise. Secret 4. Crew work under quiet sales targets. On a cruise, it can feel like every friendly chat turns into an offer. Another drink, a spa treatment, a one-day-only sale in the shops. That's not an accident. Many crew in bars, spas, shops, and excursion desks work under quiet sales targets every single cruise. Some departments get a bonus if they hit certain numbers. On some ships, individual staff can earn commission on specific drinks, treatments, or shopping packages. Now, it doesn't mean they're dishonest. It just means there's pressure behind those smiles to sell, sell, sell. That's why you hear about the same special cocktail of the day, the same miracle face treatment, or the same jewelry seminar in the theater. Those aren't just fun extras. They're part of a sales plan, and some items pay more commission than others, so they're pushed harder. This can matter a lot if you're watching a fixed budget or just don't feel like being pushed. The key is to separate genuine recommendations from pure upsell. If you ask, "What's the best value?" and the answer is always the most expensive package, that's a clue. Try asking instead, "What's the simplest, cheapest option that still does the job?" and see how the answer changes. Also remember, it's completely okay to say no. A simple, "No thank you, I'm fine for now," is enough. You don't need to explain your finances, your plans, or your reasons. Most crew aren't trying to take advantage of you. They're trying to keep their manager happy and send money home to their families. When you stay calm and kind, even while saying no, they feel respected, and the interaction stays pleasant for everyone. And once you understand that sales pressure, the next secret, the quiet class system below deck, makes a lot more sense. Secret 5. The hidden class system below deck. From the outside, every crew member looks the same. Same uniform, same smile, same "Good morning, sir." But below deck, there's a very real class system that decides who sleeps where, who gets days off, and who is even allowed to relax in public areas. Crew are divided by department, rank, and sometimes nationality. Officers and senior staff get better cabins, closer to daylight and fresh air. Junior crew and cleaners may sleep in shared rooms deep inside the ship, with narrow bunks and almost no privacy. Some ranks are allowed to get off in port often. Others might go weeks with almost no real time ashore. There are also rules about where they can go on the ship. Some staff are allowed in guest areas only while working. Others can't be seen chatting too long, even if you started the conversation. If a manager walks by, that friendly waiter who was talking about their grandkids might suddenly rush away. That's not rudeness, it's survival. For guests, this explains a lot of what you see. The cabin steward who always looks tired isn't ignoring you. They're probably doing dozens of rooms a day on a contract far from home. The bartender who seems more relaxed might have a higher rank and a better schedule. Here's the important part. Your kindness travels through that system. A simple thank you, learning their name, or leaving a fair tip can mean a lot in a world where they don't have much control. And if someone seems brief or stressed, it's usually the system you're seeing, not their heart. Quick pause. If these behind-the-scenes tips are helping you feel more confident about your next cruise, please like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And once you understand that hierarchy, the next secret about the crew-only elevators and hidden hallways they use makes even more sense. That invisible map is a big reason some guests get help faster than others. Secret 6. Crew elevators quietly decide how fast you get help. Big cruise ships are like little cities, but you only see the streets meant for guests. Behind those walls is a hidden world. Crew-only corridors, stairwells, and elevators that connect every cabin, restaurant, and storage room like a secret subway system. Most room service trays, luggage, laundry bags, and maintenance tools never touch the guest elevators. They move through these service routes. That's why two cabins on the same deck can have very different experiences. One gets fresh towels or repair in 10 minutes, another waits half an hour for the same thing. It often comes down to location. Cabins close to crew service areas or near the main elevator hubs are easier to reach. Far out corners and long dead-end corridors are quieter, but they can be slower to service because staff have to walk further every single time. For guests, this matters in two ways. First, if walking is hard, try to book a cabin near the main elevator banks or near the middle of the ship. You'll save your energy and crew can reach you faster. Second, if you're sensitive to noise, avoid cabins directly opposite those plain, unmarked doors in the hallway. Those are often crew access points, and they can be very busy early and late. When you look at a deck plan online, notice where the main elevators and stairwells are, and where long stretches of cabins end in a tiny turning point. Those dead ends can be very peaceful, but they're also the furthest from the crew's quickest routes. You don't need to memorize this secret map. You just need to know it exists. And once you do, the choices you make about where you sleep and how patient you are with service feel a lot more understandable. Secret 7. The sheets live in a laundry city. In the brochures, every cabin looks like a boutique hotel. Fresh white sheets, fluffy towels, everything spotless. And yes, the crew work hard to keep it that way. But behind the scenes, your linens are not treated like fragile spa items. They're part of an industrial laundry machine that never really stops. On a big ship, thousands of sheets, pillowcases, towels, bath mats, and tablecloths move through huge washing systems every day. They're washed in large batches at high temperatures with strong detergents. It has to be this way. There's no space for gentle, slow, one load at a time laundry when you're cleaning an entire hotel at sea. Because of that, different items are prioritized. Bed linens and bath towels come first. Decorative cushions, bed runners, and some extra items may be washed less often than you assume, especially if they don't look visibly dirty. In some cabins, those pretty throw pillows have seen a lot of guests between washes. Simple habits can add a layer of comfort. If you have sensitive skin, ask for an extra flat sheet and sleep on that rather than directly on decorative items. If you're unsure about throw pillows, move them to a chair before bed instead of hugging them all night. Also, don't be shy about asking for fresh towels or pillowcases if something doesn't feel right. Housekeeping is used to these requests and would rather swap things out than have you feel uncomfortable or worried. The secret isn't that cruise ships are dirty, it's that they're industrial. Everything is done at scale and at speed. When you understand that, you stop expecting delicate, hotel-style laundry treatment and start making small choices that make you feel clean and relaxed all week. And speaking of off the menu, the next secret is all about those quiet, unofficial favors some crew will do and the unspoken rules behind them. Secret 8. Off-the-books favors have unwritten rules. Not everything the crew does for you is in a brochure. Some of the best help on a cruise happens quietly, off the books, and never gets written into any official policy. but those little favors run on trust, time, and unspoken rules. Think warming a baby bottle in the middle of the night, finding a kettle for someone who needs hot water for medication, sneaking an extra dessert from another dining room, or getting a shirt pressed last minute before formal night. None of that is guaranteed. It depends on the crew member, their workload, and how safe they feel bending the rules. Here's the part most guests don't see. Saying no can get a crew member in trouble, but saying yes can too. If a supervisor thinks they're spending too long in your cabin, bringing items they shouldn't, or giving more to one guest than others, they can be warned or written up. So they quietly pick who they go the extra mile for. Now you want to be one of those people. The way to do it isn't a big tip right away. It's respect. Learn your cabin steward's name. Say please and thank you. Keep requests simple and reasonable. Instead of, I need this now, try, if you have time today, could you possibly... That one phrase tells them you understand they're busy and you're not taking advantage. If they do help, show appreciation. A small tip, a kind note with their name on a survey, or even a few kind words at the end of the cruise can mean more than you think. Off-the-books favors are the human side of cruising. When you treat crew like people, not servants, you often find that the ship suddenly feels more helpful, warm, and willing to bend the rules gently in your favor. Secret 9. Safety drills are much bigger than you see. Most guests do one short safety drill. You stand at your muster station, listen to a few announcements, and that's it. It can feel like a box-ticking exercise, but for the crew, that drill is just the tip of a very big iceberg. Behind the scenes, safety training is constant. Crew repeat emergency drills week after week, fire drills, man overboard drills, lifeboat loading drills. They practice carrying stretchers up narrow stairwells, guiding crowds in the dark, and putting on full gear in heat and smoke. Many have a specific emergency job that never appears in their normal title. Every person has an assigned duty. Who checks cabins? Who closes fire doors? Who brings extra life jackets? Who calms the crowd at each station? These are even coded announcements over the speakers that tell crew exactly what type of problem is happening without frightening guests. When you hear a calm phrase like Alpha Alpha or Team to Zone X, that's the start of a drill or a real response. For guests, this matters for one simple reason. If something ever does go wrong, the safest thing you can do is follow instructions slowly and calmly. The crew are not guessing. They are following a plan they've practiced many times, often when you were off enjoying a port or eating dinner. That's also why they take the muster drill seriously, even if some passengers roll their eyes. They need to know you've at least seen your station and heard the basics once. So if you notice crew suddenly moving with purpose or certain doors closing, don't panic. This usually means a drill or a small issue being handled by people who know exactly what to do. And that brings us to the final secret, about one small number at the end of your cruise that can quietly decide a crew member's entire future. Secret 10. One number can decide their future. On the last night of your cruise, you're tired, your suitcase is half packed, and a little message appears. Please fill out our guest survey. It feels optional, but for crew members, that form is their report card, job interview, and promotion interview all in one. Most big cruise lines don't just look at the average. They focus on top box scores, usually the very highest rating, like 10 out of 10 or excellent. Anything less can be treated as neutral or even negative when managers review a department. Here's the part guests are often surprised by. If you thought your cabin steward was wonderful, but you mark a 9 instead of a 10 because the internet was slow, that might still count against them, even if the problem had nothing to do with their work. That doesn't mean you should lie. If something was truly bad, it's important to say so, especially in the comment box. But try to keep your scores and your comments pointed in the right direction. If one person was fantastic, mention their name clearly. If your issue was with a policy, not a person, say that too. For many crew, a handful of top scores can help them get promoted, earn a bonus, or be invited back for another contract. A handful of low scores can slow their progress for a whole season. So when that survey pops up, don't treat it as junk mail. Take a few minutes. Think about the people who looked after you all week and be as fair and specific as you can. It costs you nothing, but for them, that one number can quietly shape their future at sea. So that's it for today's secrets. If this helped you feel calmer and more prepared for your next cruise, tap like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which tip surprised you most. And when you're ready, click the video on screen to plan an even smoother first day on board. Your voyage is just beginning.